All right, guys. So a lot of people have questions about this particular job because 80% of cars are now either front wheel or all-wheel drive, and they require CV axles in the front. So these are the ones I pulled out. These are the old ones, and yes, they are as bad as they look. Um, Nitrous is not kind to drivetrain parts. So those are shot. Obviously, they boots busted, and all of the U joints are actually completely wore out, so they had to be replaced. So the trick to this is you want to take your strut loose, and you want to take if you have a bracket connector, take your bracket connector off to make sure that you have enough room to pull the hub down. And you don't necessarily have to take off the ball joint, so you don't have to worry about the alignment, but you have to be very careful not to destroy it in the process of doing this. And then once you take these two bolts out, this entire assembly is going to drop down. Okay, so this is your front hub, your rotor, where you bolt your wheel to. So all that's going to fall down. And what you want to do is back here on the transmission, back here, this one's pretty easy to get to. Some of them not so much. You might have to take off the plastic covers and stuff like that. But for this one, what you want is a good pry bar, and you want to wedge it in between the back of the CV joint, which is this section, and where it inputs into the transmission. And basically there's a lock ring in there, and you have to push it hard enough to pop that lock ring out. So you put your thing in there, wedge it. If you've got a buddy, the best thing to do is to get one pry bar on each side and wedge it out, because you have less chance of tearing up the seal as you're doing it. But once you pull the axle out, it will fall out, and you're going to have transmission fluid come out with it, because that's the seal that keeps your fluid inside the transmission. So make sure you have a little catch can ready, not to make a mess. And installation is complete reversal. So it's preferable to have somebody to help you, or at least put it up on jack stands, but you want to position the CV axle as parallel to the strut towers or the engine as possible, right? You want to get it aligned first, and then you want to slowly push the axle in. There's going to be a 2-snap process. So your initial push in is going to get past the seal. That's the one you have to be really careful with. Once you get it past the seal on the transmission, and you know you haven't torn it, it's not leaking or anything like that, then you can put a little bit more ugga-duggas on it and actually like put some ass into it and push it into the transmission. That's where your second click is going to come in, right? So your first click is going to be past the seal. Your second click is going to be into the transmission. That's where the lock ring is going to snap into the transmission. Once that's done, simply take off your nut, lube all of this really nicely to make sure that you don't tear anything up. Pull your hub back up, put it back into the hub, put your 2 bolts in for your strut tower, and then tighten down your carrier nut and washer. And when you're tightening that down, I'll make another video, but you want to spin the hub, tighten it, spin the hub, tighten it, and spin the hub and tighten it until the hub doesn't want to turn. It has a little bit of resistance to it. Once you get to that resistance point, take your channel locks or whatever you're using, socket, and you want to back it off a half turn. And what that's going to do is that's going to put pressure on the front bearings the way that it's supposed to be. However, it's not going to burn it all up because you've got it too tight. So make sure that you can turn the hub once you put the nut back on the axle. So like I said, normally I don't make videos, but this is a very, very difficult job, and a lot of people dread it, and they go and they spend thousands at the dealership to get this done, or at Firestone or whatever, when really it's not something you can't do in your garage. You just got to understand how everything works, and then it's easy to take apart and put back together. So thank you guys.